All right, good evening. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Welcome to our Q&A with senior leadership. If you don't know me already from former panels, my name is Sarah Nazianale, and I am one of UNC Asheville's Associate Directors of Admission. And it's also my pleasure to be moderating the panel tonight. So we've been doing these Q&As for a little over a month now. And we've understandably been getting a lot of questions related to what campus is going to look like in the fall, what safety measures are being put in place, how things may be operating a little bit differently, and all kinds of questions related to COVID-19. So we thought that it would be best for all of you to hear directly from our campus leaders because they've been working alongside our local, state, and national health experts to make sure that your students are safe here this fall, and not only that they're safe, but that they also receive a top-notch academic experience while they're here. So many of you submitted questions for our panelists when you registered for tonight. So I'll be asking some of those questions throughout the night, in addition to addressing any additional questions that you all may have through the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So if you'll take a moment to locate that Q&A box, that's where you can type in any questions that you have throughout tonight's program, and we will try to get to as many of those as possible. Please do know that several hundred questions were submitted when you all registered, so we won't be able to get to every single question tonight, but I can assure you that our team in admission and financial aid is available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 and beyond to answer any questions that don't get covered tonight that you need answers to. I'd also like to remind everyone that our enrollment deposit deadline was extended to June 1st, and June 1st is coming up. That's this Monday. I recognize that many of you may be on this panel tonight to get the questions that you need to move forward with your enrollment deposit. And it is my hope that the information that you get tonight will make you more confident than ever that UNC Asheville is the right place for you this fall. So at this time, I'd like to welcome our Chancellor, Dr. Nancy Cable, on the screen to welcome you and give you a general university update.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Nancy Cable. I'm the Chancellor at UNC Asheville, and I'm really grateful that you would spend some time with us this evening. It's our goal to congratulate you first and foremost on your son or daughter's acceptance to UNCA, and they will be a member of the class of 2024. And we have some parents of transfer students as well with us. So congratulations to each and every one of you. We now, as leaders at UNC Asheville, become your partner in optimizing your child's education here and making the most of the time that they have in such a very special university as UNCA. It's been quite a difficult situation for all of higher education across America over the last, I'm going to say 10 weeks. They've gone by quickly, but they've also been full of complicated decisions at a period of uncertainty, financial stresses on our society, adjusting to pandemic conditions. And I would tell you that while we strive to do everything as best as we can, the good thing about UNC Asheville is that we have all the sophistication of very large universities, but we have the scale to do things personally with each and every student's needs in mind and each and every student's potential at the forefront of what we try to address while they are with us. When the decision was made by the UNC system to move all classes at the outbreak of COVID-19 to an online platform, we literally, along with many colleagues in higher education across the country, moved mountains. Our faculty stepped to the plate and moved nearly 97% of our classes online successfully, including our bio and chemistry labs, our computer science labs, all of our humanities courses, and even some of our music performance and artistic venue courses. It was no small feat, and it was thanks to the effort and goodwill of our faculty that we were able to do that so successfully. For most of our students who were on spring break when this decision to move to online classes happened, with careful social distancing, we allowed all those students to come back and pick up all of their belongings and to move back home, in some cases to move to apartments in their own locale or here in Asheville. Our dining hall continued to serve the approximately 160 students who were allowed to stay on campus, primarily because to have gone home for some of those students meant that they didn't have the broadband access they would have needed to continue their online courses. And so we continued our dining hall services for students, tailor-made a curriculum for those students who were staying on campus, and supported all of our students at places near and far, not just in this region, but around the United States, and a number of our international students across the world, supporting them with mental health services, with IT support, with opportunities to stay in touch with their advisors and to register for summer school classes and to register for their fall semester. So the scale of UNCA, particularly in this moment of crisis, has been welcomed by the parents of our current students. And I know I'm bragging, but I was very proud of our faculty and staff and our students because they made things work here for the course and balance of our semester in the spring. We had a sadness in that we couldn't do an in-person graduation for our class of 2020, but we hope to be able to have that in-person graduation the first part of August if public health conditions will allow us to do that. Why did we choose to reopen? Well, the UNC system, and that is an amalgam of 17 institutions, all public parts of the UNC system. The UNC system urged each institution to assess its ability to safely and with the highest and best protocols to mitigate the virus, to reopen for in-person instruction, even if some of our courses continued online. And for the last 10 weeks, we have been working most of all to establish the predicate health protocols that would allow us to function in as safe a possible environment as we can provide for our students, our faculty, our staff members, our athletes, our coaches, and all of our staff members here in town. We have successfully, we believe, begun to nail down the details of decisions that will allow us to open in person in early August. Our plan at this point is to open on the 10th of August and to conclude our semester on the 20th of November, which is the Friday before Thanksgiving. Our courses without a fall break can continue and can conclude at that time. And if there should be an outbreak of COVID on our campus that reaches a scale that public health officials would suggest, we always have the option to adjourn and go back online. Although the protocols we're putting in place will be designed to allow us to continue in as safe an environment as possible for all of our faculty, staff, and students. Why do this? Part of this is related to our reasons to open. The most important thing is it's the right thing to do. We are one of the best and most respected public liberal arts institutions in the nation. Our students are needing and nigh on demanding that we open, if at all possible, in person, because that's part of what we do so well. It is the cornerstone of quality here, the student-faculty relationship, and we want that to be able to continue. And we want to be able to welcome your sons and daughters with that very safe environment as much as we can do with the faculty who are ready to teach them and ready to engage with your students, as students in their classroom, as researchers, as students in their labs, and as student leaders on this campus. Secondly, our faculty is hoping, for the most part, that we will reopen as well. They've missed our students. They've missed our sense of academic collaboration and community, and the productivity of this place, and the vibrancy of our unity and our life together here at UNC Asheville. The city and county are supporting us, and so is the whole region across the state of North Carolina. Because we are a uniquely mid-sized university with high academic quality and a strong sense of collegiality here across all of our faculty, staff, and students, the city and the state and the UNC system know that we are uniquely positioned to open in a way that encourages our students to be a part of a community and to take care of one another. That won't be new for us. That's something we've been able to do for quite some time.
Chancellor
We all,
Campbell, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Your video isn't on. Do you mind turning on your video so that folks can see you while you're
okay,
speaking?
all right. How's that?
There we go. Yes, now we
Okay,
can see you.
okay.
That's much
All
better.
right, good.
Thank you.
Sorry, everybody, here I am. Thank you very much, Sarah. The other reasons are the continuity of employment for our employees. We are one of the major economic drivers in this area, and in terms of our ability to do this safely and with reason about virus mitigation, we really want to keep our employees employed and in service to your students. And finally, for our own financial viability, this is the right thing to try to do. And so we have spent these last 2.5 months figuring out how to do this, learning from medical professionals right here at Mission Hospital and at the Mountain Area Health Education Collaborative. We are working directly to adopt and to only open if we can adopt the highest and best protocols that can keep us all safe in this environment of the pandemic. So we have given good work and good thought to this. We wanted to be able to answer your questions. One of the first town halls we're doing is with you because we know you are not yet familiar perhaps with this university and its special attention to individual needs. And so it is our dedication tonight to try to answer as many questions as we can. If we do not get to a question that you had asked or had written in to be asked, please don't hesitate to call anyone on this call who's speaking with you tonight, myself included, to answer the questions that you may have and to help reassure you that we are doing the very best that we can to be open and to move forward with our academic mission and our service to the students who are coming toward us and the large number of students who were enrolled last spring who are planning to return, and we're excited to see them as well. So Sarah, I'm going to stop there and move on to my colleague vice presidents. I would like now to ask Provost Campbell to introduce some of his thinking about the academic affairs and the side of the house here at UNC Asheville. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. As Chancellor Cable just said, my name is Kai Campbell, and I'm the provost here at UNC Asheville. And I just want to echo some of the comments that Chancellor Cable has said in sharing our excitement for your arrival in the fall. We hope to see all of you joining us. And we know that based on the questions that you've submitted, many of you want to hear a little about the format for the semester. Chancellor Cable has already shared that our start date is due to be August 10th. And what we're planning on is delivering the curriculum in a hybrid mode, with the overwhelming majority of classes offered in some combination of in-person and face-to-face classes, together with some online content. There will be a small percentage of classes offered entirely online, but in all cases, all the delivery that the faculty all the content that the faculty will be delivering, we are prepared to deliver with the same kind of deeply engaged, active learning to which we are committed. In particular, even with the coursework that's delivered online, we have set for ourselves the goal of making the delivery of that material as engrossing as the in-person version we would have offered. And so we look forward to delivering that. We're doing that in part to make sure that we can deliver our content, our courses, our curriculum in a way that is safe for everyone. And as for those safety measures, you should know we are installing plexiglass sneeze guard dividers in some places. We're spacing chairs in classes between 3 and 6 feet apart. We're exploring the use of face shields in certain places, meaning the face guards that are full length of the face, clear plastic for certain circumstances. And we're taking any number of other precautions to ensure that you can learn in a space that follows the very highest health safety standards and follows the very best protocols. As Chancellor Cable indicated, we are partnering with the Mountain Area Health Education Center, our city and county health departments, and many others to make sure that our learning spaces are ready for you this fall. Our semester will begin, as I said, August 10th and run through Friday, November 20th, the Friday before Thanksgiving. for a total of 15 weeks. We'll have 1 day of break in the middle of that on Wednesday, September 30th. But other than that, we'll basically run through the entire semester full steam ahead. I'll just pause there. I know there are lots of questions and more folks to speak with you tonight. So again, I just want to reiterate, we look forward to seeing you in early August.
Thank you, Provost Campbell and Chancellor Cable. At this time, I'd like to bring on our other two panelists, Dr. Bill Haggard and Janet Cohn, and I'll let them give a similar kind of an overview of their different divisions and some updates for you. Bring them on. Oh, Dr. Haggard, you're muted.
So sorry. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Haggard, Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. And I just want to share, along with the Chancellor and Provost Campbell, our real excitement about seeing you this fall. We just really can't wait. It's a little lonely here right now without many students here, but we're really looking forward to your arrival. We've been reading about you, hearing about you, and seeing you. And not only looking forward to seeing you this fall, but looking forward to seeing you virtually at our Embark orientation sessions in June. Please make sure, if you haven't done so yet, to register for our Embark orientations that occur in the last 2 weeks of June, because that will be our first chance to see you virtually and to communicate with you. And we will still have our normal activities only virtually with student orientation leaders, breaking you into small groups virtually, and all of those types of activities. So we look forward to seeing you then and in the fall. And just as others have spoken about, both the Chancellor and our Provost, we're taking every precaution to make sure that your living and dining experiences, first and foremost, are as safe as they can be. Our staff have been working hard in making preparation. I would like to, talk about, first of all, some advantages that UNC Asheville already had going into this fall. I know some of you chose us because of not only our unique mission, but because we're a smaller, more intimate institution. And with that, we have some advantages in the area of housing and dining. The way our residence halls are designed, we have all suite style, just suite style and apartment style housing. We do not have the large residence halls with large community baths. We have suite style housing that have 4 people sharing a bathroom, 2 people sharing a room. We are increasing our number of opportunities for a single room, a private room. So those of you who are interested in that in these times, we encourage you to apply for that as those spaces last. But we have increased that number because of the current situation we're in. We are taking precautions in deep cleaning our rooms, and then the design of our rooms are such that we have modular furniture where if you prefer separation, you can create separation with the furniture if you are in a double room. And our housing staff, our residential education staff, our RAs will all be greeting our students with guidelines and suggestions to make your living in our residence halls as safe as it can possibly be. We feel very confident about that. Our dining, we're doing the same type of planning. We have a dining hall, Brown Hall, as those of you who have visited already know, our dining hall at Brown Hall, and also 5 retail locations. We're making adjustments in all of those locations to ensure social distancing. As the Provost said, in some of these facilities as well, we're using the plexiglass sneeze guards and other things, and also just adjusting the way the dining experience works. There will be less serving yourself and more others serving you to minimize the direct contact. There'll be the opportunity for more outdoor seating. There'll be the opportunity for taking food to go. We are taking all precautions in the dining area and have a great dining team that has been really working hard this summer to prepare for the fall. So we're looking forward to seeing you, and we feel very confident about the safety of those experiences. But really, it's the out-of-classroom experience in partnership with the in-class experience that makes this such a great place to come to college. And we have very rich out-of-classroom experience, and we're working with our staff as well to make sure that you can still have the type of leadership experiences, as student organization experiences, with the right type of planning and the right type of precautions in your meetings to make sure those things are safe. We will have our full array of opportunities there for you to get connected and to get involved with others, which is so important to your student success while you're here. I saw a couple of questions in the chat that I'll go ahead and respond to. The move-in information was just released today, so maybe it hasn't reached your inbox yet, but check your inbox for our move-in information. What we are going to do to minimize the size of the crowds and to make sure that there is more social separation as we do the move-in process, we're going to give folks the opportunity, if you choose, it's elective for you, to move in your belongings during the last 2 weekends in July. Move in your belongings and then go back home to help spread out our move-in time. And then for our first-time students, we will be doing our move-in over 4 days during that week before classes start. And all of those details are being communicated with you today through social media and through email. If you haven't received any of that, please contact our housing office and they can give you more details about how move-in will work. But all those details were released today. There was another suggestion or another question about pre-rendezvous, which is an elective come here early, get involved in an outdoor experience or one of our urban experiences. Those of you who are interested in pre-rendezvous, it will happen again this year. It will happen with an abbreviated calendar because of the current situation we're in. And it will also happen with maybe some, in the outdoor area, some smaller groups, some shorter time periods and those types of things. But our staff are working very hard right now to make sure that those of you who elect to do so can have a great pre-rendezvous experience. It'll be shortened from 5 days to 3 days, and that communication on pre-rendezvous will be released very soon because we're just finalizing those plans, actually, as I speak. So those are the highlights for student life. We want you to have every opportunity to have a great time here, to practice your leadership skills, to engage with others, engage with the community, engage with your faculty and staff, engage with others so that you can have that full experience, but also have that full experience with the utmost in safety. And we plan to go above and beyond to the best we can to make sure all those activities have the right precautions in them to make sure that you all are safe. So can't wait to see you. We're really looking forward to your arrival, and thank you very much.
Yes, I'm next on the agenda, and I wouldn't be the athletic director if I didn't say go Bulldogs. We're so glad that you're on this today, and we're so excited to get you become part of our Bulldog family. And I noticed the chancellor and myself, we both got on our Bulldog blue because there's so much school spirit here, and part of that school spirit starts with our 16 Division I sports. And this coming year, we have over 278 student athletes that are going to be joining us as scholar athletes, because we truly are, as Bill said, our university is such a collaborative place where we are so many activities that happen in the classroom and obviously on the competitive fields too. So we're excited to be part of the university and excited to have you become a Bulldog. Like other areas of the university, we too are preparing for the return of our student athletes. Our coaches will be coming back on campus. They've been working very hard, recruiting, staying in touch with all of you, particularly some of you that are student athletes that are on this Zoom. So we're here, we're excited. We can't wait to come back and see you on your Bulldog blue, become part of the Bulldog family.
Thank you so much for giving those great overviews of your different division areas. Thank you to everybody who is putting questions into the Q&A box. We are monitoring those. However, we've got a list of questions from the things that you all wrote when you registered for this event that I think will answer a lot of the questions that are in the Q&A box. So hopefully our questions that we've got for you, we'll answer that. And if not, we'll continue to monitor the Q&A box throughout the panel tonight. But I'd like to get started, when looking through all of the list of questions that folks gave upon registration, many questions were regarding housing and move-in. And Dr. Haggard, I know that you just briefly touched on the different procedures for housing, but could you just reiterate what that will look like, what the move-in process will look like for first-year students?
Sure, Sarah, I can go into more detail. So for the first year students, I mentioned the 2 optional weekends and the last 2 weekends in July to come and bring your belongings. So then when you come and check in, you just need to come with yourself, bring your belongings and go back home and then come back during the week before to check back in. During those days and during the days of the week before classes, we will have 3 3-hour periods that you will register for to move in, and all of this process will come through our housing office. The idea is we want to spread out as much as possible and be intentional in making sure we keep all those. We're limiting the 3-hour period to 100 students, and those 100 students will be spread out among all of our residence halls, so we will not have any more than 50 people in one area. And we're doing that to really have a real ease of process. In other words, you won't be fighting traffic. You won't be sitting in long lines with your cars. You'll be able to park close to the buildings. That's the other advantage of this approach, and it just will not be the long lines and the long crowds or the larger crowds there as we move in. So that's really the approach. All that information to be able to sign up for those times will come from the housing office. And that information, as I said, has been released today and is in your email box. But any questions, you can just call the general housing number or email residencelife@unca.edu, and they'd be happy to help with your specific questions.
Thank you. I think Provost Campbell would like to jump in next and answer a lot of the questions that you all have about online, hybrid, in-person classes.
Yeah, so I mentioned that there will be a small number of classes that are delivered online. That's probably, I anticipate currently that'll be about 10% of our offerings that are strictly online. The rest will be some form of hybrid. There will be certainly those that don't have any online component, but the bulk of the courses will have a blend, a mix of both online and in-person presence. But the focus in every single opportunity, every single course will be to make sure that we provide the kind of real close contact and experience that we're used to giving. We're doing this mostly to make sure that we're increasing our capacity to put distance between students. But we still want students to be engaged, to come together. We're going to be working with faculty to make sure that there are opportunities to bring students together, both inside the classroom, but also outside of the classroom. We're focusing on how do we still deliver. I saw a question about internships. How do we deliver the kinds of courses that have internships built in? How do we make sure that we're still engaging with the community to have those kinds of opportunities? The lab experience, the undergraduate research experiences, all of those things that make for a rich learning experience. We are still planning on doing every single one of those. We just need to make sure that we're providing some distance between students as we deliver that. So the question about what percentage will be online, we are still working out those details. Certainly the number of classes that are fully online will be a very small fraction of the total. But everything else we'll be working with faculty to make sure that we're delivering a really great experience that mirrors the kind of in-person experience or a fully in-person face-to-face experience that folks would get.
Thank you for that, Provost Campbell. One of the other questions that popped up a lot in the registration was asking about tuition differences in the online classes versus the in-person classes. I didn't know if you're able to address that difference, if you know it.
So right now we're anticipating that we're going to be delivering the experience at the tuition that we're as advertised. So we aren't anticipating any differences in tuition. In part, that's just that is in alignment with what we're planning on offering. We are planning on giving every bit of the kind of full total experience inside the classroom, outside of the classroom, in the curriculum, and co-curricularly. We plan on making sure that the students who come have a very full experience. And so we anticipate the tuition being the same.
Thank you. And just one more follow-up question. There have been several students who have been worried about, and parents who have been worried about maybe the rigor not being there because the semester is being shortened. Can you touch a little bit more on the coursework that's going to be delivered even though the semester is shorter?
Absolutely. So the semester is shorter by maybe a couple of days, I believe. We're not actually talking about a big difference. We are losing a bit of the break that we would normally have had. I think the normal semester goes for, I think, 16 weeks. We're at about 15 weeks. And we anticipate making sure that students get the full set of time that they're owed in this experience. So we may play around and add, I think we calculated it may only take a few minutes, like 5 minutes more per class period to actually get back to the full amount of time. And so we're looking at that scale of adjustment. This is not a big adjustment for us. So we absolutely want to deliver on the high quality excellence of the experience. That is the most important thing for us to deliver.
Thank you. Janet, there have been several questions about what fall sports will look like. And I didn't know if you could touch a little bit more on what you have planned for athletics this fall.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I was on an NCAA and Big South Conference Zoom earlier today. The NCAA says that we are going to have fall championships. And obviously, we will start bringing our student athletes back and making sure that, first of all, that we're reorienting and getting them sort of back into the swing of working out again and those kinds of things. But our plan right now is to go forward with our, volleyball, cross country, and men's and women's soccer for the fall, and our other sports, will begin their practicing. And obviously we have different protocols than we had before COVID-19 to make sure everyone's as safe as possible, and obviously operating under the guidelines of the university. But we're excited. That's why I say 278 plus student athletes. That's the largest group of student athletes I think we've ever had at the university.
I'm excited too. I almost wore my Bulldog blue tonight, and I knew I was like, Janet's gonna be on. I should wear my Bulldog blue, but.
Sarah, can I say one more thing real quick?
Of course.
It's follow up with something what Provost Campbell said, the question about our faculty and the content is, as someone who's been here 16 years and dealing with our student athletes, even in the spring when we went on to our remote learning, the student athletes, and I can tell you our faculty members are second to none working with our students. And I guarantee you that they are going to, it doesn't matter in the classroom, remote learning, our students are getting unbelievable education. And I say our faculty are second to none across the country. And I hear that every day from our student athletes.
And I'd jump in and just give one example of the past semester. We had a biology faculty member who went out, had the part of the course was to study a variety of different kinds of moss. And this faculty member went out and collected samples of 40 different types of moss, and then made sample boxes and sent them to every one of their students so that they could continue to work and learn. So I think that with that kind of commitment, that kind of dedication, with students being here on campus, even if some components are taken online, those faculty are still going to be dedicated to making sure the students get a really rich, full experience.
Thank you for that. There are a lot of questions about what safety is going to look like and what testing for coronavirus is going to look like on campus. Maybe Chancellor Cable can take this one. The specific question is, will there be testing provided for coronavirus, and how will you quarantine students that are COVID positive?
Testing will be available for students who are either exposed to the virus or showing any symptoms, and both quarantine and isolation will be available either on campus or with our medical partners at the hospital or at MAHEC. We are not planning at this time to test every student upon arrival. The reason for that, and I think almost every university is understanding this too, the tests as they are currently configured have as many false positives as they have actual positives. And so at this point, what we will do is use symptom checkers for students. We will make sure that students have a community commitment together if they're coming back to campus or they're joining us, as your young people will be able to do, that we have an agreement that we'll wear some masks and face shields as a community expectation, that we will stay socially distant from one another, that we will respect the protocols of hygiene and hand washing and sanitizers. We're very likely in our higher use buildings like our library, like Carpent Hall and other places, particularly at the start of the semester, to use fever checkers as well. And students who are exhibiting fevers will be asked to go into further testing or to be seen by our medical personnel as soon as possible. So all those possibilities of what could happen to a student, and certainly anyone who is symptomatic and who needs to be quarantined or isolated and who needs to get medical assistance, will get that immediately and very promptly. That's what our working with both the hospital and the Mountain Area Health Education Center and all of our county and city managers and commissioners, that's been a great piece. In fact, we're working even in tandem with all 6 of the institutions, ourselves, Western Carolina, Brevard, Montreat, Warren Wilson, and Mars Hill. We're all working together to make sure that we have best-in-class protocols, which we feel absolutely must be in place before we open. And we're moving right along at procuring all the equipment that we'll need. As Provost Campbell said, we're going to be distancing in classrooms. We're actually removing some of the fixed seats that were in the classroom and storing them for future return to a larger class in that space. But we're very actively and energetically being guided by real experts in the region, and frankly, our Emergency Operations Committee on our campus that's very capably taking it detail by detail and literally right now reporting to the senior staff about these plans daily. So we'll be ready and we'll take care of any student who is in an immune compromised position, needs special assistance, or needs medical care promptly.
Thank you, Chancellor Cable. We've gotten a couple of questions about high-risk freshmen, and is there any additional information that you can address for specifically students that are coming in in the high-risk categories?
Yeah, here at UNCA, the truth is every single person and every single student matters. So if your son or daughter is coming to us with an immune compromised situation health-wise, or they are in mental health support, that's something that can be provided here even in tandem with other support they might have been receiving in their home locality. We will take every student where they are and seek to support them in every way possible to optimize their educational and their co-curricular experience. So that's on a case-by-case basis, and students and families don't hesitate to let us know how we can help you. We will do so to the best of our ability.
Thank you. Dr. Haggard, oh, looks like you unmuted. You were gonna pop in there.
No, I was just gonna pop in and add to the Chancellor's comments that about our Health and Counseling Center. We have not only a very competent staff, but a very popular staff. Our health and counseling services are very popular with our students. There is a very low stigma of going to see our counseling services. And our healthcare providers are part of MAHEC. We contract with MAHEC for our healthcare providers. So our staff in the Health and Counseling Center has been working very hard as well, preparing for this. Even when mid-semester, we had to ask our students to leave campus. We stayed busy with telehealth on the health services side, and our counselors kept a full schedule doing remote counseling as well. So those services are ready for those students who feel that they have special circumstances.
Thank you. Another one for Dr. Haggard. Can you give some more detail about what the dining hall and Brown Hall will look like? And do you anticipate any changes to meal plans because of the accommodations that we're making for COVID?
Yes, good question. So our dining contractor, Chartwells, has worked with our leaders here on a terrific plan for Brown. What it will look like more is where it used to be, if any of you visited campus and experienced Brown Hall the way it used to be, we really designed Brown Hall to be a go from station to station and really tailor your meal to your liking. Not to take a phrase from a fast food restaurant, but have it your way. Really to have full access to the whole dining hall. We still have as our plan to do that, but as I mentioned earlier, there will be less self-serve and more staff serving. There may be some more prepackaged items, but not all prepackaged items. You will still be able to go in and choose what you want to eat from a wide variety. We will not cut back on variety at all. We have a population that demands variety, whether that is vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free. Students with food allergies. We have a nutritionist on staff who works with those students. So all of those choices are still going to be there, but they will be there in a more controlled environment with fewer people eating in, the option for takeout. As I said earlier, increased options for outside dining, but all of the choices that we've had in the past will still be there. Our staff has worked hard with developing new traffic patterns to avoid students running into each other. In other words, more kind of one-way pedestrian traffic in the dining hall, looking at the routes to make sure we reduce the person-to-person contact in the residence hall while folks are getting their food. So that's a glimpse of the dining hall. And then with our retail establishments, it's just basically, again, working on the traffic patterns, getting the decals on the floor to maintain the 6-foot distancing. We will be using probably more disposables and disposable plasticware. We use a lot that are compostable. I don't know if we can guarantee that in the dining hall, but again, using some more disposables helps minimize the type of contact that people have. So those are some of our strategies, Sarah, but we have a very popular dining service, and we expect that satisfaction level to still be high, but it'll just look and feel a little different to those who have been on our campus. To those who have not been on our campus, it won't look or feel any different at all. It'll be what you will first experience when you come here, and what we intend to happen is people will be very satisfied with their experience.
Thank you. There are a lot of great questions coming into the Q&A, so I'd like to jump in and ask a couple of those. One, I am assuming a parent or family member is asking, so they're saying, they're not worried about their student health-wise because they're in a low-risk category, but maybe there are some concerns about the separation protocols hindering the academic and social experience. So can you all speak to what is being done to ensure opportunities are there to build relationships with faculty and fellow students, and that the social distancing doesn't impact that?
Yeah, I guess I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think that the answer there is simply that our faculty have as a part of their very mission, as a part of what we deliver, to think about how to do this. It has been a directive that we've talked about from the very beginning. Our primary concern is, so first of all, the health and safety of our students, but certainly making sure that they're getting the quality, excellent experience that we deliver. And so everybody really would want to be in kind of contact with students, working closely with them if they could. I think we're wanting to balance that with the protocols that are not only about keeping your child, your student safe, but also keeping the entire community safe. And so we're going to be taking a very community-minded stance. But within that framework, we're expecting to deliver on every bit of the experience that we can. And we expect faculty to work closely with students, to get together with them on one-on-ones online, and to have certainly experiences in classes. We will work out all the details, and it'll be very specific to the particulars of the faculty and the student. And so that's what I can share. I don't know if that fully answers the question. There will be some things that we're working out. We don't know all of the answers at this stage, but we certainly have that deep commitment.
The same is true for the out-of-classroom experience. It will be more small group interactions. Right before I got on this call, I was in a virtual meeting with our Student Government Executive Committee, and they were asking some of the similar questions. Will we be able to get together? And I was talking to 7 students virtual, and I said, absolutely, these 7 students can get together. We're going to ask that you sit a little further apart. We're going to ask that you wear your mask, depending on where you are. We're going to ask you to be maybe in a little larger room instead, so you're not all snuggled up close together. But yes, you will have in-person experiences in smaller groups. I think the larger group activities, the larger crowds are going to come with time as we work through these things. But we plan on having, just as the provost said about the curricular experience, the co-curricular and the out-of-classroom experience, we view it the same way. It's our job to facilitate engagement in relationships and lifelong relationships, and we expect all those to continue to happen. They're just going to happen probably in smaller groups, and the larger the group, then the larger the room. Or if we outgrow the room, then those activities go outside. But we'll be following all the safe protocols, but at the same time encouraging interaction and in-person interaction with one another.
And our students are quite a creative bunch. They'll find ways to connect. They'll find ways to make meaning together, because that's a piece of the fabric of this institution. And so they're also individuals, and we look for this when we review admission applications. They're bridge builders. They are people who want to be a part of a common good in a community, together with all of the diversity that we always seek and have. And so I think our students can be relied upon to answer the question that's been asked in some pretty creative ways as this year goes along. Surely for almost every college student in America, this will be a memorable year of how to adjust in the face of a pandemic and still have personal friendships that blossom and bloom, and teacher and faculty student relationships that are productive, research oriented, teaching, learning oriented, and internships. I see that one of the questions that's been asked, even as a first year student, may my daughter have an internship? Absolutely. And a place where we already have a number of internships established is Mission Hospital. And there are other healthcare facilities across all different sort of segments of our community. That's one of the things about Asheville. We are integrated and porous about the way that we look at our relationship to the city in which we reside. So I'll put my bets on the creativity and leadership and the interests of our students and their energy on those kinds of relationships and coming together.
I'd like to just add to that. One of the questions points out that one of the reasons for coming to UNC Asheville is to have that kind of intimate experience, to have smaller classes where you can get to know the faculty. And whether or not that would be put in jeopardy if we had to do, or in this kind of hybrid model. The one thing that I will say is that our class sizes aren't changing. We aren't, in fact, folding together multiple classes to try to push to bigger classrooms just because we might be able to do that in an online setting. We are keeping the same mission and values and thinking about the intimate connections. And so even as we have a hybrid course, they're still going to be in a small environment. They're still going to be, you know, a potentially a Zoom page with their entire class on the same page. It's not going to be getting lost in a sea of online images and pages of people. So I just want to make that clear that even in those spaces, even in the online and digital spaces, we are creating and affirming our commitment to this kind of intimate connection.
Janet, can you speak to the student athlete perspective on how they'll continue to engage with one another?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked that question because that's part of our planning process right now. And like Bill mentioned too, we involve our student athlete leaders in these conversations. So we've had them on Zooms. We've gotten some great best practices from people all over the country of how we will continue to practice and play as safe as possible. And we all know every sport is different too. You know, tennis is one of those sports, it's a little bit safer and people actually played tennis throughout this whole time. So we'll adapt each sport based on, you know, the best practices, but we too, like our friends in academics, we'll find ways to do things a little different. And that's okay. You know, a way to do, we always do a welcome back every year. Well, this year we may have a virtual piece of that, or we may be spread out in a 3,200 seat Sherrill Center where we can just spread out and have social distancing, but we will find a way. And I think that's a key part. I also want to say something that the Chancellor and Bill and Kai said too, that I saw during this time when we transitioned, how our faculty, and once again, I'm talking from hearing our student athletes, we had faculty members that individually emailed every member of their class almost every day. We had faculty members that came up in our undergraduate research, how we did that this year. Kai, you might want to describe that, which was so unique how they did the presentation. I mean, I'm betting on, and I can't bet because I'm in college athletics, our faculty and our student affairs folks and our folks in athletics, and as the Chancellor say, our community members, what's special about UNC Asheville is not going to change because we are always creative and innovative, and we're going to find a way not to lose that personal touch and keep the high academic standards, because we all know the real championship that we all win is when we walk across that stage with the UNC Asheville diploma. And that's the goal, and it's never going to change. Kind of talk about how they did the undergraduate research. I thought that was brilliant.
Well, they did it on an online forum. They had students submit their projects in videos or in online presentations, and students were able to deliver that, and people were able to sign up for different sessions, much like this. And so, I mean, it went off, I think, terrifically, with students being able to present their work that they've worked on hard over the summer. Over the course of the year, in March, they all, I guess it was April, they were able to deliver their research projects in some really wonderfully creative ways. I think it really speaks to the point that Chancellor Cable made, which is that if you invite the students in to be a part of the process of finding the solution, we'll get wonderfully creative solutions, and that's exactly what we saw in that opportunity.
Well, and Kai, you know what our student athletes shared with me? That's a real world experience, because someday they could be working in, I don't know, England, and they have to do a presentation for a company in the United States. And so I think those are the kind of things that, you know, what we're teaching here, we can take that with us when we're out of UNC Asheville.
Absolutely.
I loved the undergraduate research format this year. We actually sent out some of that to our prospective students. So I hope that there are some people on here that were able to engage in that undergraduate research and see those presentations alongside our current students. There were a lot of really interesting research projects, and they're all, I believe they're all still available to be seen online. So you can go to our website and see all of those great undergraduate research projects. A couple, oh, Chancellor Cable, did you want to mention
Yeah,
something?
I'm seeing one question here I want to be sure to address. There's a question from Mrs. Pearson. What will the protocol be for face masks at the beginning of the fall school year? Sarah, is it okay if I tackle that one?
Oh yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. So please.
Okay, good. Great minds thinking the same way. Now, in the state of North Carolina, there are only 2 legal entities who can actually mandate and require, based on the law, that you have to wear a face mask. One is the medical director of the Department of Health and Human Services in the state government, and the other would be someone in the county commission, like the county manager or a county commissioner who proposes that to the county commission. So at this point, the state is being asked to, though the medical director has not mandated this legally, all of the entities in the state of North Carolina are encouraging a community-wide expectation that all protocols related to best practice in disease or virus mitigation be in place. That suggests, as I mentioned before, hand washing, social distancing, etc. And the wearing of face covering is very important. It's important to us being able to bring so many back in person and be able to function in as safe an environment as possible. So even with our faculty, we will put forward a community expectation that for those who are coming to our campus, as long as there is any virus threat in the pandemic, that we wear face coverings and masks in class, certainly not when we eat, but in places where we can be socially distanced, dining hall, certainly in one's residence hall, that's your home, you do not need to wear a mask there. But we are hoping to set not just a rigid requirement about this, but inviting, characteristic of UNC Asheville, inviting all of our stakeholder, faculty, staff, students, any visitors to campus, that we encourage the use of face masks. We are buying many of face masks, some of them cloth, some of them with a UNCA Bulldog logo that can be washed and reused, but we'll have plenty of face masks for our students, for our faculty and staff, particularly for our physical plant workers who are doing all the sanitizing of classrooms between class sessions, which will also be a part of our protocols. So it's not a rigidly enforced, but we believe that we'll have close to, if not 100% participation in that, because this is what is best for the common good at UNC Asheville. So those will be our protocols, and if there are further questions, I'll try to address them. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. That's hugely helpful. I've seen several questions regarding face masks, so that's very helpful. A couple of folks have asked about gap years, and I would like for you all to give your perspective from the administration perspective on what you all feel about gap years this year and your perspective on that.
Bill, do you want to go first and we'll weigh in?
Sure, I'd be happy to weigh in. Thank you, Chancellor. There has been more discussion, and it's been more prevalent in the media that this year of COVID-19 might be a better year for a gap year. I personally and professionally disagree with that. I think the reason to do a gap year is because you had decided without a pandemic that you wanted to do a gap year. But I strongly believe that if you're ready to go to college, that you can come to college at UNC Asheville and get the kind of experience you're looking for all the reasons we've been giving today. And to just go ahead and get started. Another personal and professional that are interwoven opinion is, I think another great time for a gap year is sometimes when, upon graduation, a lot of students take that opportunity to travel, to do service, to do other things as they prepare for graduate work and their careers. So it's really a personal decision, but my advice is not to let the pandemic guide that decision. That we're going to provide all the safe opportunities as we've been discussing over the last hour here at UNC Asheville, and you can get a full, good, productive, fulfilling undergraduate experience this fall at UNC Asheville.
Kai, do you want to weigh in?
I would reiterate that I think it is an extraordinarily personal decision. And I think if you've been already thinking and considering a gap year for reasons that are about exploring, developing in some very particular way, I would say make sure that you're evaluating whether or not you can actually fulfill what you originally planned in the current context. It may be that even if you were considering a gap year, now is a good time to come to UNC Asheville and to begin. There may be some circumstance that that has you thinking about this anew, but the reality is we are ready. If you had been ready, I think it makes sense to continue to move forward and to go ahead and progress through and start learning in this environment. I don't see a reason that I think folks would drive you away from starting your college career. So I would really just, I think, reiterate many of the things that Bill has shared on that.
And I would speak both as your chancellor, but also as the mom of two grown children, both of whom considered doing gap years, did not do them. And I think a gap year does have a place. But frankly, if you're interested in being a leader, a change maker, someone who understands new paradigms and the way things are emerging, someone who's interested in being a global citizen, this year is, and I think with the ballast of really good academic work available to you at UNC Asheville, I think this is a particularly interesting year to come aboard and see how society is adapting and crafting new scenarios that will be a better new normal. I heard an ad over the weekend from a large bank that said, it's only when we feel like we can crack that the new light comes in that allows us to move forward in even better ways. I think there is an opportunity in the essence of this critically difficult moment for us as a nation that allows students in their classroom learning, in their co-curricular learning, in their leadership, to actually have a very unusually robust, strong, and adaptive kind of experience that really wouldn't be replicated had we just been back in the old model. So I think it's a personal decision, as Kai and Bill have both said, but I think this is a particularly exciting time to launch ahead in college and make the kinds of connections as you observe adaptation and change around you and you observe leadership at the institution, not just administrative leaders, but faculty and student leaders and staff as well. Adapt to changing situations, evaluate them, and move forward, ever improving what we're doing. So that's the case I think I would make.
Thank you for that. My last, it's 6:35 and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We've got some great questions coming in. My last kind of formal question for you all, several students have asked about, because they are engaged and they're excited about learning, several students have asked about the honors program for the upcoming semester. So I didn't know if Provost Campbell, if you could address the thoughts on the honors program and how we're moving forward with that.
So the honors program is under a little bit of shift. And so we anticipate having the same set of honors courses that we would normally have had. We will bring students together and develop community in much the same ways that we always have. But we're actually looking to strengthen and expand the honors program and to be able to really connect those students with a whole host of even more greater opportunities. So we're looking over the course of the fall, things will probably look relatively similar to what they have in the past. But as we move into the spring and into the next year, we're hoping to actually expand and grow and strengthen the honors program quite a bit. So I'll have more to say later in the summer about where we're going and what we're doing there.
And we will craft in that change an opportunity for sophomores to also be eligible for the honors program. So all that will come out of Provost Campbell's office here very soon this fall.
Thank you. So I'd like to ask you all one, if you could give one piece of advice or insight to our prospective students, maybe to students who are still on the fence and still, considering their options. If you could say one thing to those students, what would that be? And I'll maybe start with Dr. Haggard.
Thank you, Sarah. I have to piggyback off of the Chancellor's comments about the gap year to say this last closing statement. As she was speaking in her response on the gap year, what I was thinking about is something that that my senior leadership in my division, we were talking about in a staff meeting this morning, that there are going to be so many things going on in the world this fall and in our country with the general election and responding to the virus and a return to a concern about our environment and the social justice issues that are in the news as we speak right now. What better place to be than a college campus and a campus like UNC Asheville that has the smaller classes, that would give you the opportunity to be involved in all sorts of conversations during this very critical time in our history this fall. What better place to be than on this campus to discuss the issues in your political science class, or discuss the issues in your sociology class, or to write about the issues in your creative writing class. I mean, what a better place to be. And that's how I feel about this fall. And I hope to see you all here.
And I couldn't have said that better, Bill. I agree with you. I mean, I think the idea that this is a place, it is always a place where we bring ideas together from across different ways of thinking. With all that's going on in the world, the best place to be, I think, is going to be right here, really able to engage how we think about that from very different perspectives. How we think about whether it's COVID, the election, our environment, the kind of reaction to how we come out of this this pandemic, and to thinking and planning for the future. I think there are going to be lots of open questions that I think if we go back to the point about our students really being one of the greatest sources of creative thinking, we want to really ignite that and think about solutions for the future, not just thinking about what has happened in the past. And so I think this makes for a terrific place to be, to really dig in and explore those things.
Janet?
You're making me follow those two. That's going to be hard.
That's tough.
That's tough because I truly believe in everything they said. And, not only is this the place to be, but I will say this is also the place where people will know your name and who you are. And it doesn't matter if you're a student athlete or someone in the art department or mechatronics, the faculty and the staff and other students will know you, and you have a chance to really make a difference here. So I say, come on and join the Bulldog team. You'll look good in blue, by the way. Blue is a great color.
Well, it's hard to follow Janet too, but I would say this. I was recently asked by someone, what business is the university in? Given all the myriad of things that we do day in and day out with our students and our faculty, the answer I decided to share with that questioner was, we're in the business of human potential. And to each one of you as parents, I would say your child, your son or daughter, your late adolescent, they can do this. And part of what we take as really I guess our most important responsibility is to empower your children to reach and understand their own potential. And so I believe in your students and what they can do and the potential and new heights that they can reach incrementally over the years ahead, whether they choose to do our bachelor's in 3 years or they do it in 4. We're about helping that potential come forward and to keep them reaching and frankly becoming curious people who are better citizens because they've been here. And parents, I would say to you too, you can do this. You can let them come to a place like UNC Asheville where we are a student-centered place, period, full stop. And so you can do this, and we will be your partners in empowering the human potential that we already have seen in the accomplishments that your sons and daughters have had in high school as leaders, with their colleagues, as athletes. And so we're about human potential, and parents, you can do this, and we truly believe that your students can do this well here. And we look forward to welcoming you in the fall.
Thank you all so much. Thank you to our panelists tonight. This was a lot of great information. I've learned a lot. I know that our students and our families have learned a lot. I am actually going to type into the chat some information for you all for future updates and messages that we send to campus regarding COVID and the coronavirus. We actually have a website called, it's coronavirus.unca.edu, where all of those messages are housed, so you can see any messages that go out to campus. We're hosting some future virtual Q&As with UNCA over the next coming weeks. I think our next one tomorrow is with our Career Center. So if you have questions about our Career Center, how they can help you get on-campus employment and then transition you into the workplace after graduation, please tune into that tomorrow. Next week, we are having a Q&A with health services. So if you're one of those students that's in the high-risk category, if you have questions about anything health related, please tune into that Q&A and ask those questions there. I've also put my email address in the chat for you all to see as well. As I mentioned, June 1st is our upcoming enrollment deadline. We are going to be getting in touch with you if we haven't heard from you, but if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me, call me directly, and also reach out to your admission counselor. And as Chancellor Cable said, any of the panelists here, because one of the wonderful things about being at UNC Asheville is that our administrators are very accessible. We are all here to help you succeed and to get you across that stage in 4 years. So thank you again to our panelists. And we hope that you have a wonderful night, and we hope to see your enrollment deposit on June 1st. And I know that we can't say goodbye with Janet here without saying go Bulldogs. So I'll let Janet unmute, and we'll do Bulldogs on 3, okay?
All right. One,
right.
two,
1,
three.
2, 3. Go Bulldogs!
Go Bulldogs!
Goodbye. Have a great night.
Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.